So we're all very familiar with the story of Naboo from during the Clone Wars, and from before the Clone Wars, where they repelled a Trade Federation invasion and then stood as a key world within the Republic during that ongoing conflict. But the story of Naboo after the end of the war often gets lost in the clouded history of the Empire, so I figured today we could focus on what happened to Naboo after the end of the Clone Wars. I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to head down below and hit that subscribe button. So, let's just pick up right at the end of the Clone Wars. As the Clone Wars ended and the Galactic Republic transitioned into the Galactic Empire, that was immediately met with strong civilian opposition from the people of Naboo. Well, the new Emperor of the Galaxy, Emperor Palpatine, ultimately started his life and career on that planet. Many of them didn't like Palpatine. He was not a very popular figure, basically from the moment he declared himself emperor, which is relatively unpopular with the peace and democracy-loving people of Naboo, who, by the way, while they did have a monarch, it was a democratically elected monarch, so there's some clashing of values going on here, and as a result, Palpatine was instantly unpopular. On top of this, the people of Naboo were racked by the death of the fairly popular Senator Amidala, who was killed under unknown circumstances, at least to the people of Naboo, was killed under unknown circumstances, and her funeral attracted a massive crowd. But that's when things started to go a little bit awry politically on Naboo. So basically, from day one, the Empire stationed troops on Naboo, primarily to protect the Emperor's homeworld, as it meant a lot to him and was a strong political symbol of where the Emperor came from. But it was also to keep control of this potentially rebellious world, and they did prove potentially rebellious. Shortly after the funeral for Padme Amidala, an election was to be held in which the planet would elect a new governor. Now, by this point in Naboo history, the monarch, the king or queen of Naboo, was more of a figurehead than anything else, and the governor was really the one making the decisions, and this election would have chosen a new governor of Naboo, which specifically is different from a Moff. There was a Moff in charge of this sector at this time, but the governor of Naboo would have control over Naboo itself. Now, this election wasn't going well for Imperial interests. The frontrunner in this election was Sashay, a former handmaiden of Padme Amidala, who was fairly anti-imperial, and the Empire immediately saw this as a threat that could throw Naboo into the realm of a rebellion and lead to a battle on the Emperor's homeworld. As such, the Empire stepped in and quickly shut down this election, and ultimately would completely rearrange the government on Naboo, eliminating the practical and functional side of the government while leaving the monarch intact as a ceremonial figurehead of the former government of Naboo. In that same move, they removed the entirety of the Naboo Royal Security Forces, including their starfighter pilots, leaving Naboo entirely dependent on Imperial forces for defense, which is not uncommon within the realm of the Empire. Now, Naboo would remain relatively peaceful throughout the reign of the Empire, seeing no major battles between rebel forces and Imperial forces until after the Battle of Endor. However, there were a few minor confrontations, usually involving small rebel groups and small groups of Imperial loyalists, including one showdown that did involve Darth Vader. Vader would visit Naboo several times due to its ties back to Padme Amidala, who still held great personal significance to Darth Vader himself. And there was notably a serious assassination on that world when the Moff reigning over the planet, Quarsh Panaka, was assassinated by Saw Gerrera's partisans. Naboo would really get involved in the Galactic Civil War, however, following the Battle of Endor, when the Emperor's final command, Operation Cinder, was initiated. Naboo was one of the targets, and as such, Imperial forces launched a pretty substantial assault on that world, which, following the death of the Empire, pretty peacefully transitioned into a pro-New Republic world. And as such, New Republic forces rushed to the defense of Naboo, leading to the Second Battle of Naboo, where the planet was defended against an Imperial invasion. Now, ultimately, during that invasion, a unique electromagnetic pulse weapon was activated, which disabled Imperial vehicles and forced Imperial leaders on that planet to surrender, ending that battle in a New Republic victory and preventing the use of Operation Cinder's weather-controlling satellites on that world. Following that, Naboo would remain firmly in the hands of the New Republic all the way through the reign of the New Republic until the rise of the First Order, when it would fall under First Order control, but would be, once again, the site of a large uprising that's not very well described, but we do know that it was the site of one of several uprisings around the time of the Battle of Exegol. Ultimately, Naboo's history following the end of the Clone Wars is often overlooked because, well, if we're being honest, it was a prequel-era world that was introduced during the prequels and didn't exist when the original trilogy was created, and as such feels almost a little out of place in the era of the original trilogy, but still plays a substantial role in galactic history even after the end of the Clone Wars, so it's definitely worth talking about. Now, when the Empire took over Naboo, one of the things they shut down was the Naboo Royal Security Forces, and this included their Starfighter Corps. If you'd like to learn more about the starfighters tasked with defending Naboo and the starfighters that played a major role during the Battle of Naboo, during the Clone Wars, or I guess during the Trade Federation invasion before the Clone Wars, I'll leave a link up here to my video on that. And I'd like you to let me know down in the comments whether you'd like to see more of Naboo during this era, or do you think it really belongs in the prequels? Would you like to see some stories set on Naboo during the reign of the Empire, and do you think we're going to see more of Naboo in Andor Season 2? I've heard some whispers that it might be around at some point in the course of the second season of the show. And if you have anything you'd like to see me cover in Star Wars or anywhere else in science fiction, you can let me know down below in the comments. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.